Hey everybody, it's just Jesse, hanging out in my little man cave in my garage. Today is March 26th, 2020, and I want to go over Ecclesiastes 3 because Solomon was a wise man, and today mattered to Solomon. There's a season for everything under the heavens, is what he says. Now, what I mean by today mattered to Solomon is that every day that he breathed and lived on this earth, there was a time for specific acts that he did. Much like when we calendar in events or, make time for something that we want to do, everything that he did because he had God's wisdom on his side had a specific timing, which is really cool if you think about it. What we can all agree on is that Solomon knew a lot about timing. With God's wisdom, he knew a lot about everything. But what do we know about timing? Now, when I think about that, I think we don't know very much. Like, we know that we don't control most things when it comes to timing. The best thing that we can do is maybe just recognize the timing when it happens. But Solomon lists a bunch of things that have an appointed time under the heaven, and that's in verse 1 through 8 of Ecclesiastes 3. Now, what I ask myself is that what does Ecclesiastes 3 teach to important leaders? What lessons does it teach? And there are 6 things that are outlined by my Leadership Bible that deal with what Ecclesiastes 3 teaches to the leaders. And it teaches that it's our responsibility to recognize God's timing and not to change it. It's our responsibility to accept and cooperate with God's timing because it's His timing and it's not ours. Our alignment with God's timing makes a great difference in everything that we do. God made everything appropriate in its own time, and God put eternity in our hearts, so we must wait on God to communicate His timing to us. And lastly, we can do nothing better in this lifetime than to rejoice and do good. So with those 6 keys, I just kind of want to read over what verses 1 through 8 say. And bear with me, it could probably get dry, but just sit back and listen, and it's really cool when you get it. So, for there is a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear down and a time to mend up, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Now, I always try to figure out what this section of scripture that I read a day, one speaks to me, and what my prayer would be for myself and for everybody around me that I contact. And so my prayer for myself and everybody today is that we gain wisdom like Solomon gained wisdom from God. And what I pray that I gain wisdom for is that I can discern timing, or so that we can discern timing in our everyday lives to make the better decisions and the best choices that we can make, so that we can ultimately lead people to God from our decisions and from our choices. Sometimes we don't have to talk about it. Just living our lives is enough for some people. Sometimes we have to plant that seed, and we have to talk about it, and we have to dig the ditch in order to plant the seed. So in any walk that we're in today, whether you're you're with the shovel and you're digging the hole to put the seed in, or whether you're putting the seed in, or whether you're watering the seed, or whether you're sowing from the plant that grew from that. Whatever area in life you are right now, make the best choices. Pray for God's wisdom, and pray to be able to discern timing like Solomon. All right, well, we'll see you guys later, and we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll keep going with this accountability video. So talk to y'all later.